Don't know what pump track is? Well, it's easy. Head-to-head racing without a chain. Pure power and top technique. Generating speed from nothing, the best 32 men and 16 women are put to the test in a traditional bracket challenge. 2 races per round means to reach the final, endurance is key. One mistake could mean the end. And remember, you can't pedal your way back. I mean, that's the instinct.
Here we are, the final stop of the season, Whistler, BC. The place to be for mountain bikers, but also the place on earth where the trail builder per person ratio is the highest in the world. This year's course is based on the 2019 layout, where we saw Tommy Zula take the gold versus former king Adrian Laurent. That course did not scare 16-year-old at the time Jacob Jewett, who surprised everyone with a well-deserved 4th place behind Crankworx Whistler veteran Austin Warren. On the women's side, Crankworx's familiar face Jordy Scott went back home with a silver medal behind legend Jill Kintner. On a more recent note, Caroline Buchanan has been the one to beat all season, with wins in Rotorua, Cairns, and Innsbruck. She is only 1 win away from a perfect pump track season. Keilani Hines, Jenna Hastings, Martha Gill, many have tried, but no one has succeeded. On the men's side, Tohoto Ariki Penny started the year strong with a win on home soil against Niels Bensing. Jace Cunning made it 2 in a row at home in Cairns, Australia, and surprised Tohoto again in Innsbruck for a 2nd win this season. Who will claim the prestigious Whistler title here today? Will someone finally stand in front of Queen Buchanan? Will the home crowd spark up something special for King Bats? The last pump track of the season is on. Pump track Whistler. No chain, no problem.
Crankworx it's a crazy thing to be involved in.
It's hectic, but you're in it and you're just like loving it.
A reunion of friends and people in different cultures.
All these cool different locations, all these different tracks. There's always so much stuff going on.
People are just stoked on biking, and they're just stoked to be here.
Hearing so much energy around.
We live for that.
Please make sure that your seatbelt is fastened. Thank you and enjoy your flight.
Welcome, race fans. I gotta tell you, it feels oh so good to be back in the birthplace of Crankworx for this season's final stop. It seems like we just started. We have crammed so much action in the past few months. And look at this beautiful sight we have right here. The rivers flowing, beautiful glacial water, and we got riders flowing down this ultimate pump track challenge course. They've been riding all day. We have whittled them down to the final 8 for the women and the men. Here's a look at our brackets for the women right now. We've got Jordy Scott returning to competition. She's been absent for a while. I know she was dealing with some injury, but it's great to see her come back strong with that #1 qualifying position. She's loading up in the gate against Natasha Miller right now. And this is why we've missed Jordy Scott so much. She is such a comfortable occupant of that podium. Plenty of thirds, plenty of seconds, and then last year here, speed and style, grabbing that gold. All things were looking up for Jordy Scott. You know, we were talking about her a lot. She was making a campaign for Queen of Crankworx, and she had an injury, an issue in Rotorua 2022. She's been absent since then, but look, she's coming back strong right now. She's got that #1 next to her name. Here she is right now against Natasha Miller, the #8 qualifier.
Jordy Scott coming out, backing up that first place qualification, gets that hole shot. Now this track is really short, so these riders are gonna have to be on point from start to finish, no mistakes. Jordy doing what she needs to do, keeping that momentum rolling.
Number 13 seconds. But she's going to be looking good as she heads into 2 runs, like you said. You get 2 runs, you can switch the track. There you go, now you got it.
Well, thanks for joining the broadcast out there today. This is the second broadcast of this Crankworx Whistler stop right now. Here a little bit earlier in the year, and you know, a lot of rain yesterday, but beautiful, sunshiny day. No better place to be if you're a mountain biker. I'm gonna be your host today. My name's Cam McCall. I'm hanging out with Tracy Hanna and Alan Cook. And we got a long week ahead of us, but right now it's all about pump track. Tracy, great to have you in the booth here with us.
Oh man, I'm so excited to be here. I mean, after a super gnarly weekend on 11.99, it's kind of nice to have, you know, some real pressure racing under the pump track.
Yeah, well, we're definitely stoked to have your racing background up here in the booth. You're gonna be spotting all the things that Cam and I miss all the time, I'm sure.
So obviously we're starting things off with the women's category here in the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. We got to talk about Caroline Buchanan. She has won the past 6 Crankworx pump tracks in a row. Obviously, the question is, can she sweep the whole season? What do you guys think?
She's going to be tough to beat, especially with those flash white overalls we've been seeing her dominating in this year. You know, Caroline, I think, coming back in, looking to defend that queen. You know, she's really focused on those things that, you know, she has the advantage in or really suit her riding style. That BMX background, that Olympic BMX, you know, history that she has. Pump track is right in her wheelhouse.
Well, the last time that Caroline was beaten pump track, the racer on the left side of your screen right there, Keilani Hines, was the one to do it. She's in the competition today. She's the number 5 qualifier.
Yeah, going up against Ali Smith, number 4 qualifier. So this should be a pretty close race, and they both had a pretty even start out the gate, we saw.
So there we have it, Keilani crossing the line, just about a quarter second ahead of Ellie Smith. Tracy, what do you think? This is a really, really small course. So when you see these gaps that look like a small amount of time, when you consider how short the course is, these are pretty big gaps, aren't they?
I mean, it's a big gap, and you got to, yeah, it's a super short course, which makes the course even more technical with the gate start and those 2, like, super tricky berms that you got to come into. I mean, we saw with the round of 32 and the round of 16 just how technical those berms got after a few riders had rode them.
Alan, we were noticing the rider's left side, that inside left-hand berm in the round of 32, the round of 16. That berm really is a decision maker, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I might even refer to it more as a curved wall ride than a berm. You know, it's just a single apex. They rail around the outside, but this is head-to-head. This is pump track. They both have to go on both. The riders have to go on both sides. So if there's an advantage on one course, it's not an advantage for the overall. So we're going to see some close racing.
Louise Ferguson loading up in the gate for pump track right now. She took an impressive second place in the 11.99 downhill, Tracy. What a performance.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. That track was just so technical, so steep. And what's crazy is these riders are going from 11.99 now to be, like, you have to be super smooth. You have to absolutely nail that gate start. And you only have 11 seconds, not 4.5 minutes. So it's going to be really curious to see the crossover with bike skills going between the downhill and the pump track today.
For sure, that's the most exciting part of a Crankworx stop is you see these riders competing in multiple disciplines. These 2 disciplines, that footage we just saw, the 11.99 downhill and pump track, they could not be further apart, could they?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. And then Martha Gill, we know that she's absolutely smashing dual slalom this year, which means her gates are on point. She flew out of the gate then. You can see how far ahead of Louise she got just from her gate start.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best techniques I've seen out of the gate. Remember, these riders don't have chains on their bikes, so the natural gate start is not the way to go. So we see these riders reaching for, you know, different techniques and trying to hone in on the fastest way, and it does change depending on the rolling and the track, but Martha looking absolutely on point right there. Look at that, had about a half a bike length straight off the start.
Insane snap there for Martha Gill. And bottom left side of your screen right there, we're gonna keep track of who has the fastest starts throughout the evening here. And it just goes to show how much time can be made up on that left-hand berm there, because Louise didn't finish that far behind despite kind of getting left in the dust out of the gate. There she is, Caroline Buchanan. She's won the last 6 stops. She's got some insane momentum right now. We caught up with her earlier. Here's what she had to say.
We've got 3 more years and I'm 204 points up right now. Really hungry just to finish strong in my 3 favourite events. I survived the downhill, which was the goal. Then in the air downhill, finished with my best result that I ever had here in air downhill, with a 5th, just off the podium. So super happy with that consistency, and every year just getting a little bit better at the events that in the past haven't really been a strength. So yeah, we're now leading into pump track and then slalom and speed and style.
So it's already been a good week for Caroline, a 5th in the air downhill, a 13th in the 1199, full-on rugged downhill, but this is where she shines the most. Of course, we're still gonna see her in slalom and speed and style, but 6 wins in a row, you can't argue with that. She's going up against Danny Johnson.
Yeah, Danny Johnson, super competitive out here. We've seen her on the World Tour many, many times. Caroline with that 2.1 advantage out of the hole shot. Let's see if she can bring it around this last turn, that curve wall ride type turn. She is on point today.
So Caroline crossing the line, 0.7 ahead of Danny Johnson. Yeah, if you can get a good snap, especially if you start out on that left side and rail that, what you're calling the curved wall ride, that left berm there, that's a great recipe to put a gap on your competitor. So there we have it. You see those green L's alongside one rider's name in each of these matchups. That means they are leading coming into the second run, where we get them back up to the top of the course. We switch sides. And the fastest overall time advances into the next matchup. Jordy Scott over Natasha Miller. Keelani Hines over Ellie Smith. And keep in mind, with this being the final stop of this 2023 World Tour, it's all about the points. And there are some really tight races out there. Of course, big money up for grabs in the King and Queen of Crankworx overall title hunt, paying out first, second, and third, $20,000 for first, $10,000 for second, and $5,000 for a third. Every one of these events is offering up points. Obviously, the best way to earn the most points is to win the race. The rider from the 2022 season in the men's category with the most points was Bas van Steenbergen. He wears the crown. Caroline Buchanan wears the Queen's crown, and she is leading the race again at this point coming into the 2023 Whistler stop by a lot, Alan. Look at that. Over 200 points gap.
Yeah, she's really come into this season and really found her groove as a Crankworx specialist. I think, you know, really elevating her skills in all of the categories, especially downhill, kind of going out of her comfort zone, doing the downhill, getting points, and then dominating the ones where she's strong.
Well, only 18 points separating 4th and 3rd in the women, so that'll be fun to watch. But look at this square up we have right here between Bas van Steenbergen, the reigning king, and Tehodo Ariki Penny, who just slotted in to the lead based off the results from the downhill. Tehodo was 3rd in the air DH. He was 3rd in the 1199 DH. So he's gained that ground on Bas, who's just really hoping to hold on to that crown. And we want to ask you, who, you know, you have a voice here on the Red Bull Bike YouTube channel. Put your answer into our chat box. Who's going to be the king? Is it going to be Bas van Steenbergen again, or is Tehodo going to cruise up here to the Northern Hemisphere and show everybody who's boss? You know, Alan, I've been rooting for Tehodo all year just because he's so fun to watch ride a bike. His story is so cool, and he's just such a chill dude. It's really exciting to see that he's going to make Bas work for this one if Bas is going to hold on to that crown, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Tehodo has proven himself as a winner of events, but I think this is the first time in his career where he's sort of positioned himself to win a championship, to win a title of some kind. And really after that, that's when the career really takes off. So he's got a lot on the wrist, or on the line here today.
So the 2 downhill races that took place last week are the reason how Tehodo was able to get himself to the top of that list. Let's take a look back to some highlights from our 1199 Canadian Open downhill last Sunday. I mean, Valley Hall. What do you think, Tracy? This was an insane.
And she's on a tear, winning the last 2 World Cup races. Here comes Valentina Hull. She wins in Whistler, nearly 20 seconds into the green. Valentina Hull wins the Canadian Open. Destroys the opposition. Insane.
Well, it's such an honor to ride such an incredible track. I mean, there are rumors they want to do a World Cup on it, and I'm happy to get the first feeling on it. It's definitely something else I've never ridden before.
The Canadian from Vancouver Island. The gnarlier it gets, the better he gets. A protege, brought to speed by Stevie Smith. Ceruto's 330 standing good. No, is this going to beat it? Marvelous sprint drop then. Jacob Jewett for the Pivot Factory team. 20 years old from just down the road there in Squamish. And a big moment for this man. 3:30, remember, is the time to beat. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. Here comes Jacob Jewett. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Jacob Jewett takes the win of Crankworx Whistler.
Yeah, having this race at home was insane, and like to end up on top of the block, so it's like can't ask for a better day.
Yeah, that wasn't exciting at all, was it? How was it to call that, Trace?
Oh my gosh. I mean, like I keep saying, what a tribute track to Stevie Smith, and they just built one of the most gnarly tracks that has been seen on the Whistler Mountain. And to see a 20-year-old local Canadian guy take the win against like all these fast guys that were racing, it was really special for Whistler, and I think for the legacy of Stevie, and just, you know, to prove that that track is, you know, one in its own.
So true, Tracy. What an amazing moment there. And then also, you know, as things play out later on in the week, you see somebody like Tohoto getting third, and that story just is going to follow him for the rest of our competitions throughout. So Tohoto is in the round of 8. You are going to see him gearing up today. A little look back at our round of 16 highlights to see how we ended up with this round of 8. Bubba Warren going up against Sam Blankensoff. And he was kind of looking unstoppable, Alan.
Yeah, both riders looking really good. You know, the track earlier was starting to deteriorate there towards the end of the round of 16, so we saw some riders sliding out. You see Blankensoff almost coming into Austin's lane there, able to keep it on 2 wheels, but unfortunately getting caught out there.
Yeah, they were getting so loose coming out of that left-hander on Ryder's left, and they must have tidied it up in the little break, but I mean, that's only going to get looser and looser as the day goes on.
Yeah, the course always decides to be one of the main characters in these races, especially as the day goes on and it continues to deteriorate. So here, Ryan Gilchrist, Tracy. Now, this guy bursting onto the global scene. We saw him with a 2nd place in pump track in Cairns. Take a look at how he qualified today.
I mean, that snap out of the gate was insane, and I mean, it is a short track, and one of the most important things will be the gate and then those berms, but the way he snapped out of the gate, that's got to have saved him some time.
Gilchrist is the #1 qualifier. Of course, you're going to see him going up against Bass. Now, this is one that's fun to watch. Eddie Reynolds, the youngster, such a diverse skill set. This kid's obviously good on the pump track. He's a dirt jumper. He's a downhill free rider. And he made it into the round of 8. He had to knock out the guy who's won the last 2 Crankworx pump tracks, Jace Cunning. An uphill battle, but take a look at how he did it.
Yeah, Eddie definitely coming into his own there. You know, when you have that much talent, sometimes you just got to find a reason to push the button, and we got to see him do that there.
He's definitely on a tear right now and knocking out just, I mean, one of the top riders. He's obviously got the most momentum coming into Whistler, Jace Cunning, considering that he won the last 2 stops. So keep an eye on Eddie Reynolds. He'll be down there in Heat 4 against Tohoto Ariki Penne, the man who is sitting in the top of the leaderboard for the King of Crankworx overall right now. Well, 2nd in the King of Crankworx overall is our #8 qualifier. He'll be going up against #1 qualifier Ryan Gilchrist in our very first heat here in the quarterfinals for the men. There he is.
Yeah, not an easy way to come into the round of 8 for Baz. Every lap on this track is going to count.
So the last time these 2 riders squared up against each other, it was in Cairns during the dual slalom race. So these 2, no stranger to lining up in the gate against each other. Let's take a look back at how that went. What an amazing slalom course this was as well.
Yeah, the boys that build this track here really know what they're doing. One of the fastest slalom tracks all season long. Both riders looking amazingly strong. That would have been round 1 right there. Or round 2, yeah, and was able to take the win. Such an awesome day to watch him take that first Crankworx gold medal.
I feel like he's got the bug too, you know? He had such a great first Crankworx experience. Now he's here in Whistler, #1 qualifier and pump track. All good things. He's going up against the reigning king. Here we go.
Yeah, a little bit of a double pump out of Baz there. A little bit of a hesitation. He knows what he's got to do, but this is where they're going to come back together. Everything's going to count.
Oh, man. Ryan Gilchrist with the lead. It's .3. What do you think about this guy, Tracy? You know a lot about Gilchrist's training program.
I was more thinking about that last left-hander that Bass had to do. It is so sketchy coming out of it. It's really hard to be smooth. We saw it in Sam's rerun, and now we've seen it with Bass. They just get a little off, and you can see he's kind of off to the side of the bike, not over the top of the bike. I'd like to see that again.
Here we go. We're going to get a nice slow-mo replay for you.
Immaculate gate start by both of them. 007 was in it, which is nothing, is it? But yeah, I just find this left-hander that Bass is about to hit is probably already getting a little bit sketchy. See, he just gets wobbled out of it kind of thing. So.
It's almost like there's so many G-forces if you hit it right that it's hard to stay on your line throughout the exit, isn't it, Alan?
Yeah, these tracks are pretty freshly built, and we did have some rain yesterday. So really the sweet spot of the track is only a couple of tire widths wide. You see some riders getting below that, and you'll see them slide up, and you see some getting above it. And in practice, we even saw a few people go over the berms.
All right, now next heat loaded up into the gate. Left side of your screen there, the man flying the rainbow colors. He's the world champion in this pump track discipline. Niels Bensing, he's going up against Austin Bubba Warren, the 5 and 4 qualifiers here today, so this is gonna be tight.
All right, super tight racing we're gonna have all day long. It's unbelievable that in the round of 8 we have these guys going head to head. The talent is building in the pump track category.
That's a close one, but Bubba does it. 0.15 ahead of the reigning world champ. So Bubba positioning himself nice, backing up that 4th place qualification result. They'll have the advantage going into their next run of this Heat 2 matchup.
You can see the difference between these two and, you know, Bass going for the king of Crankworx and Ryan qualifying first. You can just feel the intensity of their gate start, and then we get to this, and you know what, there was like nothing to pick at their run. They both had perfect runs.
So for all you race fans out there, you know the air downhill took place yesterday. It wasn't a broadcast, so let's check out some highlights from yesterday's air DH.
It's been raining yesterday and all day today. It was muddy and slippery and wasn't rolling quite as fast, so it was a little more physical. It was a different race.
So every year it's like new faces, the younger girls keep coming up and new challenges and stuff, so it's just cool to see the class growing and so much participation. Well, I know the secrets. I know how to race it pretty solid, so I felt confident. I know how to race this trail.
Oh, hello, Jill Kittner. Good to have you back. Familiar territory there at the top step of the podium. Quick quiz for those of you out there on the chat. I'm going to ask you this question and see if any of you can come up with the right answer. We figured out how many gold medals on Crankworx competitions Jill Kittner has in her career. I want to see if anybody can guess it. That's your little challenge. We'll come back to you later. So this is cool. Colin Hudson, left side of your screen, he won this event in 2018. He's going up against his good buddy Tommy Zula, who won this event in 2019. Only one of them is going to make it into the round of 4. Here we go.
Yeah, this is going to be a super good matchup. Awesome to see Tommy Zula back out here at Crankworx. See what he can do around this last turn. Oh, and he goes over the bars.
There we go.
That's that turn, Tracy. That's that turn you were talking about.
You called it, Tracy.
It's technical. I'm curious to see what happened, but like you said earlier, it's not a full turn. It's like the kind of double turn in it, and maybe he got messed up on the roller that's kind of mid-turn, let's say.
Yeah, these riders are definitely pushing some serious G-forces around that final turn. Tires just unable to stay on the track.
I mean, it looks like a great turn, but man, she's a bit of a ninja.
Looks like Tommy's okay. Maybe got away with one.
You know what? We're going to get a nice slow-mo replay of this, but I think his front tire went out over right at the end. Let's see. Oh, it's back tire.
Oh, man, he did, like, Yeah, it must be so soft up there. It just cut his front wheel down.
Yeah, so he was taking the turn wide, and he was going to swing, and if he could have kept that traction, he would have railed that turn and gained momentum, and he was attempting to slingshot.
You can even see the softness in the other turn as well. He's actually left like a bit of a rut.
Yeah, he was about 2 inches out of the main line and pushed in with everything he had, and unfortunately the dirt just couldn't hold his pressure.
Putting a lot of trust in the compaction level of that dirt right there, and the dirt said, nope, sorry.
I mean, that's all you got on an 11-second track is
Exactly.
trust. So
You can't ride that berm
and commitment.
with hesitation. So we'll give Tommy Zula the maximum differential when we get back up to the top of the course, switch sides, but that's going to be a tough one to come back from with such a short course. Not a lot of opportunities to make up time, but you never know. Colin could have issues in run number 2. So, question for you. We're going to do this throughout the day because it's fun. Why wouldn't we? Who's going to be the king, people? We broke it down for you. We let you know that Bas van Steenbergen is the reigning king. He's been leading the leaderboard all season, but Tehodo just yesterday slid into that top spot. And look at this. We're already getting some votes in. It looks like a lot of people are rooting for Tehodo.
Yeah, Tehodo's been looking really good all week long, but, you know, it ain't over yet. It's going to take a lot to overthrow the king.
To see Keelani getting ready for her next matchup here. Let's find out what she's running on her bike in this Maxxis tire check with Keelani Hines.
Hi, my name is Keelani Hines. I am here in Whistler for Crankworx, racing the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge, and this is my Maxxis tire check. So for pump track, I want the fastest rolling tire, so I always go with my 26-inch DTH. It's a 2.3 tire, and I run it at 50 PSI. This is my go-to choice. But the weather here is looking a little wet, so I may end up going with the 2.3 Maxxis Pace if the track is wet or wetter than we're used to. And that was my Maxxis tire check.
Tracy, do you agree? Would you be choosing the DTH? It's so slick. Do you think maybe she's wishing she had a little bit more for this little bit looseness we're seeing in the track?
Well, exactly. I mean, it was interesting, and you do want the fastest rolling tire, especially on the short tracks, and you're not able to pedal, you have no chain. But then we see something like what Zula's done and completely gone OTB in that berm. It's like, do you want a little bit of traction on your tires to kind of help stabilize your grip? What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, you know, I think she's got the right setup. I think that it's really just going to come down to how precise these riders can stay in the groove, because this track has basically been ridden in today. The majority of riders have been right in the middle of the berms. We saw Tommy go a little bit out of line, maybe only a couple inches, and the track's just not hard enough to hold. So I think she's rolling the dice a little bit with that setup, but I think it could take her all the way to the top spot if she can be precise enough.
I dig it. Let's talk to Tehodo a little bit. You know, Alan, all season I've been picking Tehodo when we have our friendly little wagers. I'm really psyched to see him in this position. What do you think? It's going to be extra pressure now when he sees himself ahead of Bas in the King race.
You know, extra pressure, but also Tehodo's got nothing to lose. I think he's got some momentum on his side. He's feeling good. I think, you know, talking to you, Trace, a little bit earlier, he maybe pinpointed where he could have elevated his game earlier in the season. So I think he's got his eyes on the prize, and he's definitely capable of doing what's needed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes you ride your best when you don't have that pressure and that expectation on you. And I feel like Tehodo's one of those guys that takes it in his stride. And now that he is, you know, in contention for the overall, it's like, we're going to see a side of him that we haven't seen yet, or is he just going to take it in his Tehodo stride? I don't know.
Exactly. He's got such a mellow swagger to him. I feel like we're going to see him take it all in stride, like you're saying, and stay chill. And if you think about it, you know, we could see this coming. It's a great recipe for somebody to be king of Crankworx, somebody who's a podium threat in downhill, but also a podium threat in pump track. And what with those two skill sets, what that means is you're also a podium threat in speed and style, slalom, but he's not afraid to go do speed and style either. So this is kind of like the recipe you need. So what do you think about Bas? Do you think Bas is sweating it?
I think Bas is definitely sweating it. You know, he's on his heels right now in one of his, you know, one of the categories he usually places pretty well. It's definitely not over though, because with a couple other events coming up, anything can happen. Anything can happen.
So we got our course crew out there patching up the divot. Golfers will appreciate this effort here in that left-hand berm. Let's talk to Elliot. Elliot, what do you think about that left-hand berm and the role it's starting to play here in today's competition?
Yeah, so I was listening to you guys in the booth talk about it, and the interesting thing about this track is it's slightly downhill coming into that left-hand berm, especially on the inside, and then it's slightly uphill afterwards. So the riders are trying to take as much risk as they possibly can coming into it, not touching the brakes, trying to set up really high. We saw Tommy Zula make that little mistake, trying to set up high and just front wheel slightly too high, getting into the soft stuff. But it's really important because you need speed down that last finishing straight to really make up all the time.
Thanks, Elliot. Man, that's such a good point. That is the last opportunity to finish strong in a run. It's like, here we go. After this berm, you're going uphill, so you better leave it all out.
Yeah, super technical. I wasn't aware of that. Thanks for that insight, Elliot. Uphill finish with no chain, so it's all about that last turn.
Leave it to Elliot. He's the man of details. We love it. Eddie Reynolds and Tejodo on course.
We are back to racing.
Tejodo with an unbelievable start. Eddie Reynolds, we've seen his momentum building throughout the day. He's able to stay pretty close on that side that might be just a little bit slower, so he's keeping the pressure on.
Tejodo's going to cross line first, but not by much. Eddie able to hold him to just 0.19. And Tejodo, it's got to play with your confidence a little bit, right? Watching them work on that left-hand berm. What do you think about the way you attacked it, Trace?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking exactly that. As he was going in, I wondered if he was a little bit hesitant. I mean, he's the guy in the gate watching. He saw Zula crash in it, and then he saw them fix it up. So he's just thinking, man, I got to get through that berm and not do an OTB. Also, and then after what Elliot said, you need the speed coming out of it, which it is a technical turn on this track, and one that's going to play with their heads and obviously their runs all night.
Gotta love Eddie's chill style right now. Shorts, no knee pads, rocking just a chill classic Fox tee. Taking it all the way to the round of 8. He's only 0.19 behind Tejodo. Let's take a look up at the top there. Heat number 1 from run number 1. Gilchrist with a pretty good lead, 0.3 over Bas van Steenbergen. So will this be as far as Bas can make it? These points, you want more than just 8th place points out here in this when you know you've got Tejodo ahead of you. And then Bubba Warren and Niels Bensink, a tight one between them as well, 0.15. It's pretty cool to see Jordy back up there, and she's strong in that first run against Natasha Trace.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup after watching the second heat come in tonight. But I wonder if it's, a bit curious for Caroline to see Jordy back here and how she'll be feeling in her gates now. And watching as the track kind of conditions deteriorate a tiny bit.
Whole lot of plot thickening out here. I like it. Switch ups in the overalls, ruts forming in berms. We got good racing out here. It's Jordy Scott right side of your screen. She's 0.47 up ahead of Natasha Miller.
Gets a good gate out of there. Comes around this turn now. She's going to drop back a little bit, but this inside turn is where she has the opportunity to slingshot out and get back up the hill. And she does it perfectly, keeping Natasha just behind her.
Here we go. Jordy does it. She's a cool, calm, collected competitor. It's great to have her back. She advances in to the next round.
Natasha getting a better gate this heat than she did the last one, which Jordy would have seen her out the corner of her eye, but she kept it smooth, calm, and going into those last 2 berms, it looks like they're holding up pretty well for now.
Yeah, it turns out we got pretty good course crew out here, so they did a nice little slap pack on that. If you see in the background there, that Joyride course is looking so butter. Speed and style and slalom courses sharing a sector of this Boneyard area. It's great to have all these events taking place on the Boneyard again. But Elliot is standing by with Jordy. Take it, Elliot.
Jordy Scott, #1 qualifier. You just came back from injury. You said you'd been trying to get a lot of bike time. Are you using some strategy out there, trying to save some energy going through the next couple rounds?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I never want to undermine anybody, so it's more like the last roller. I'm like, okay, I could let go here, but yeah, I've never really ridden this much in the past 7 months, so just trying to hold it together and keep it going through the end.
And how good does it feel to be back on the Crankworx World Tour?
So happy to be back. It's been the longest 7 months of my life, so super happy to be back and just be with everybody. So stoked.
Well, great job so far, and good luck.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Great to see her in such good form right there. She looks happy, and her times are something to be happy about, that's for sure. And here we go, Keelani Hines, just over a quarter a second ahead of Ellie Smith here in their second run.
So Ellie Smith keeping it super tight, .283 disadvantage. Keelani Hines, the last woman to beat Caroline Buchanan. Can she advance out of this round of 8?
There we go, Keelani will do it. She'll go up against Jordy Scott in the next matchup. That'll be a good one to stick around for.
What a great show, what an incredible pairing. Like you mentioned, once they get down the top,
Interesting to listen in, maybe catch some insights on what the track's doing. It's so difficult for these riders at this point in time because your fastest run, you want to be your last run. You want to build up that speed, but as the track is deteriorating, you're really kind of riding this fine line on how much you're going to risk.
So Martha Gill loading up in the gate right now, and it's kind of fun. We're talking about these hole shots. We have a timer there to see who's snapping out of that gate. Chainless, the fastest. Martha, fastest start in the women's category in Innsbruck. So it's going to be fun to watch her snap right here, and especially on a course this short. That start always means a lot, but it means even more with such a quick course, doesn't it?
Well, Alan was saying that she's noticeably fast in her start, and when you watch her, we're going to see it right now. Her technique is on point for a start like this.
Yeah, look at that. She's got her brake locked, her weight back, and she's going to time the slingshot and let go of the brake right as her momentum gets forward. Such a good start out of Martha Gill.
Let's see if she can be aggressive in that left-hand berm. And that, Louise.
So Louise Ferguson, the first one we've seen take the advantage from that side since we started the round of 8.
Well, Louise, no stranger to track conditions changing and getting loose, being that she just raced the 1199 not 3 days ago.
Yeah, Louise says, oh, wah, there's a problem with the berm.
She might not have even noticed the problem. It's
Exactly.
smooth.
She's got second in one of the gnarliest downhill courses.
Martha was also out there though, so no stranger to the changing conditions as well. But I just wonder if that downhill, that downhill background gives you a little bit extra on the changing berm conditions.
So Louise makes it into the next round. She will be facing off against the winner of this next heat, a heat that contains Caroline Buchanan, who's won the last 6 pump tracks on the Crankworx Tour. She's won every stop so far this year. She's got the advantage coming into this one. And here's what she's running for tires. She's got icons front and rear, keeping that PSI hard, 70, rock solid right there. She's got more tread than what we saw chosen from Keelani with those DTHs. So I don't know, I like the icons right here.
Yeah, more tread, but also like 30 more PSI. So
yeah,
really interesting to see.
So here we go, big advantage for Caroline here against Danny Johnson. She's got 0.7 to play with.
Both riders looking clean down that first straight. Now this is the point where Caroline is so impressive, where she just does what she needs to do. She's got her competition right where she wants it and does just enough. She's not using an ounce of extra energy. She's not taking any extra risk. She's saving it all for that gold medal match.
No problem right there for Caroline. She rolls into the semifinals. She'll be going up against Louise Ferguson. It's going to be interesting. Caroline's #2 qualifier. She's not used to seeing that #2 next to her name. Jordy Scott, that #1 qualifier. So they are on a collision course for that gold medal matchup. But Keelani Hines and Louise Ferguson have the opportunities to be, the upsetters, taking those 5th and 6th qualifying spots. Have those opportunities to knock out the 1 and 2. It'll be interesting to see what happens in those semifinals for the women. Now rolling things back over to the men. A look on screen there, Bas van Steenbergen.
Yeah, it seems like the camera's been in Baz's face the whole time. He knows why.
Yep, a lot of eyes on Bas van Steenbergen, the man coming into the 2023 season as the guy to beat for the overall, the reigning king, He's been racking up podiums. A little bit of a slow start, I'd say, for him at the beginning of this season, but he's been consistent. He's been slowly earning those points. But Tehodo, for the first time this season, knocking him out of that top spot. A lot on the line right now for Bas van Steenbergen. He's got to just stay objective, stay focused on the task. One 11-second burst at a time here.
Getting electric for the pump track.
Ed's keeping his eye on the pump track and the lift line. Yeah, this is the time to ride right now. Look at that lift line, chilling. Go grab your bike, Eddie.
6 minutes, huh?
Hey, you might end up on the screen. You don't have to be Ed Masters to end up on our broadcast out here. Drop us something funny in the text box here on Red Bull Bikes YouTube channel where you're watching us live. And put your vote in for who you think is going to take the 2023 King's crown this year as well. A lot of votes coming in for Tehodo, rooting for the underdog. I'm sure a similar thing is what happens to Emil and Slopestyle. People get sick of seeing him win. People are like, all right, Bas, you've had the crown for a bit.
Well, Eddie could just be pressing the button a million times, picking Tehodo, his fellow countryman. So, I wonder what he is up to over there in the Longhorn.
Eddie's sitting there with his cell phone and a pitcher, just tapping.
I love it. We got viewers watching this at 3 a.m. Diehard fans all over the world. Not going to miss a second of Crankworx action.
Yeah, Gecko, thanks for joining us at 3 a.m. That's what I was doing when you were all broadcasting from Cairns and I was stuck at home. I was up at some weird hours of the night cheering on our favorite riders. Here, look back at our Tommy Zula crash. That's what prompted our little course maintenance session.
Yeah, he even went for a ribber, didn't he? Went straight over that.
That's a good thing he didn't take out the next rider.
You know, heading into this next matchup, I just noticed something. I think Gilchrist is the only one with a front brake on his bike. Now that's going to give him a little more advantage, I think, on the start. He's going to have more to lean against, a little bit more to pull off of. That could help his starts. That's an interesting technique.
Good spot, yeah. I mean, if that ends up being the jam, hopefully we see a ton of riders throwing front brakes on their bike. I'm a big believer in the front brake. I think you got 2 wheels, you should have a brake on each of them. Front brakes are awesome. Let's see, now that you pointed that out, we're gonna see if we can notice him using that in the start.
Yeah, both fingers on the levers there. Gets those hips off really hard. Awesome start. Looks like Baz was able to squeak him out there a little bit. And this is where Gilchrist has been unbelievably strong out of that last turn. Did you see the momentum he gained? And Elliot told us that's actually uphill out of that turn, and he accelerated.
Wow, Ryan Gilchrist taking that #1 qualifying spot and moving into the round of 4. Bas van Steenbergen out. Oh, that's got to be tough. He's really going to be watching this Tehodo heat.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've been big up in Eddie Reynolds all night, but I bet his #1 fan right now is Bas van Steenbergen.
Yes. Yeah, that was very impressive the way Ryan came out of that left-hander, because he didn't even, I mean, Bas absolutely nailed his start, but the way he just flew.
Jeez!
Yeah. He used it like a skateball, didn't he? He really, he went in high and then really used the arch of it like a skateball.
He was so low in that left-hand berm.
I think that's where the groove is. That's where the dirt is hard and safe, yeah. Yeah, that was unbelievable on that last turn, geez.
Yeah, I could seriously watch that all day.
2 fastest starts of the day.
This is the times, the fastest 2 times of the day belong to Ryan Gilchrist. The only rider breaking that 11-second mark. All right, looks like Bubs and Niels, Austin Warren with 0.15 advantage over Niels Bensink. The winner of this will go up against the #1 qualifier, Gilchrist. Not much in it, just 0.15. Let's see what Bensink can do around that inside left-hand berm.
Bensink with a different approach to the start. Look at that, right foot down, able to get a little bit quicker with that hip thrust. Works for him, he gets a little bit of the hole shot, so now he's gonna have this last turn here. Can he make it happen? As he comes down to the line, both riders side by side. And Bubba able to squeak him out.
Austin does it. He took that run 1 advantage, backed it up in run #2, knocking out the man at the rainbow stripes, Niels Bensink.
Crowd done. Great to have those folks out here. We are now moving into the third heat of the quarterfinals.
Smart riding here for Austin Warren. Let's take this overhead look here at this inside berm from Niels. Smooth. Do you think he attacked it as hard as you maybe would have earlier in the day?
It's hard to say. It looked like maybe he was a little early on his pump. Like he was still in the turn and his arms and legs were fully extended, and that was making it a little bit harder. He was kind of reaching for more push. He was still in the turn and didn't quite have enough.
All right, well, we remember that crash from Tommy Zula. He has the maximum differential. He has to make up 1.5 seconds here against Colin Hudson.
With that max differential of 1.5, all he needs to do is stay in touch with Tommy Zula. Tommy needs to pull out all the stops here.
Safely through that turn.
There we go. Colin playing it smart, playing it cool, advancing to the next round. Tough break there for Tommy Zula. He was just testing that berm for everybody else for the later rounds.
Yeah, good to see Tommy Zula back out here, though. I know he's kind of coming back from a knee injury, maybe not 100% healthy. He's still got that knee brace on there, but awesome to see him pushing it, and good to have him back on that Crankworx World Tour.
Yeah, great to have Tommy Zula back. He's obviously been working on growing hair in his downtime. Also great to see him pop up quick after that crash, especially considering he's coming back from that knee injury. It's a good momentum builder here for Tommy Zula.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what shampoo he does use, because that is lush. Look at the way it's flapping in the breeze there. Definitely been working hard on something.
Conditioning. He's been conditioning. Outside the gym, in the shower.
So this may not be the gold medal match, but this is a very, very important race right here. Eddie Reynolds been looking fast all day.
Eddie in such a crazy position here. Here we go, Tohoto and Eddie.
Huge start there.
Oh man, look at the start from Tohoto.
Jeez, look at that. And here comes Eddie. Where did he come from?
He raised that inside berm so hard.
You know,
wow, Eddie crossed the line first, but it wasn't enough. Tohoto's going to advance. But man, what an effort there for Shreddy Reynolds.
His pumping effort is impressive. Technically, he is impressive at pumping those rollers. Didn't quite get the start out of the gate, but...
Yeah, if he had a start, because he made up so much in that left-hand berm. Oh, I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah, unbelievable ride. You know, every once in a while, a rider, you know, Cam, we've been riding bikes for a long time. Every once in a while, this rider comes around, and you just want to know what it feels like, because you can't comprehend how they're doing the things they're doing, and I think Eddie Reynolds is one of those riders.
Here we go, here's that left-hand berm. Oh, look at that. You see that out of a rider who spends time in the skate park, spends time in the dirt jumps.
That's
he just understands transition. He skateboards a lot. That is what happens when you just understand transition. He's out there skating, surfing, riding bikes, and railing
It is
berms.
a real half-pipe kind of, half-bowl kind of turn at the moment. If you want to hit it right without hitting it high where Tommy Zula did, you go down deep into it and you get such a catapult out.
Well, Elliot's standing by with Tohoto right now.
Tohoto, I feel like you're having the week of your life. Does it feel like that? You came into the week down on points on Bass, and now you're in the lead. You've gone on to the round of the 4. How are you feeling?
Oh, feeling good. Yeah, came into the week. Yeah, I just felt like I just wanted to focus a bit on actually racing, and it's turning out good, so that's all good.
And I heard you changed your flight to stay a little bit longer in Whistler?
Nah.
A little bit of early celebration, maybe?
Nah, I got a little chance to go, but I'll be keen. Yeah.
And so what do you think about Bass? Like, what is it like competing against him? Are you feeling pressure?
Yeah, Bass is always one to race with. It's always me and him just like having the mean battles, and he knows. Yeah. So.
I mean, do you want to say anything to Bass on the mic?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have a strategy going into speed and style? I think that Bass that would be what you would think of his event. And, you know, you took him in downhill. What does that do to you?
I don't know, just race my race, do what I do. But, yeah, at the end of the day, we'll just try my best and have fun and just, yeah, enjoy it, I reckon.
Well, good luck.
Cheers, brother.
This whole chillin' attitude has been taking him far. Don't change a thing. Cejudo gonna be going up against Colin Hudson. Austin Warren going up against that #1 qualifier, Ryan Gilchrist. That's crazy too, right? You're thinking Cejudo's obviously found himself in this crazy position where he could potentially win king, but he's also thinking he's got world champs coming up. Like, there's a lot going on for this man.
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome to hear him say that, you know, he's focused. He's focused on racing, and that might be the difference that we're seeing out of Cejudo. You know, once you have the opportunity and you see that you belong there, you start to believe in yourself, and that's when things really change as a rider.
And we saw those women's brackets. It's going to be Jordy Scott and Keelani Hines, heat #1. And then Louise Ferguson and Caroline Buchanan in heat #2. We're looking at heat #1 loaded in the gate right now. We got CM44 MTB saying they've been looking forward to watching these riders race for a long time. Well, us too, and things are heating up. We go run #1 between these two.
Yeah, so awesome to have these riders back here. Jordy getting that whole shot, looking really good, coming back from that shoulder injury. A little bit of a skid there, so maybe she was running wide, allowing Keelani Hines to pull that lead and get that advantage.
Keelani's got .33 ahead of Jordy right now.
I feel like the riders are actually starting to use that left-hander that they learned from Tommy Zula to their advantage. If they can fully commit to that lower line, they're using it to really catapult out of that course, and we're seeing them shoot out ahead of each other now.
It's obviously the whole package, right? But that left-hander is just the spot where you have the most potential to win or lose the race.
Yeah, I mean, look at Keelani right here. It's basically a rubber band. That rubber band's getting stretched back as far as it can, and then it launches straight out of the turn. All of that momentum and pressure, you can actually speed up while going around the turn. Most people think about hitting the brakes before the turn, or you got to slow down in the turn. But the riders that are doing it right, they're actually accelerating out of the turns.
I want us to have a berm just like that on every Crankworx pump track course. This is killer. Carlitos L saying, come on, Keelani. Well, she's doing pretty great. She just put a gap on #1 qualifier Jordy Scott, so only time will tell to see if she can make it into the gold medal matchup against one of these two riders. We got Caroline Buchanan, pink bike, white overalls, right side of your screen, going up against that bright gold hardtail of Louise Ferguson. Run #1 between these two. Caroline, the #2 qualifier. Louise, #6.
Louise also with that front brake locked in, getting that start, looking super awesome. I wonder if she was doing that on purpose for the start. Yeah, we're not seeing a lot of front brakes, but it's cool to see it mixing in. And then Caroline coming down the finish. Ferguson keeping her super honest.
Caroline was also very low in that left-hand berm. Yeah, Louise just visually, obviously we have the clocks to tell us who had the fastest start, but visually that start looked great. And yeah, you're picking up on the fact that she's running too. She is, you're right, Alan. I thought, oh no, she's just got it on the other side, but she's running 2 brakes.
I think that's given the riders just a little bit more base, a little bit more grounded feel as they're coming out of that gate that they can push off of. Look at Caroline. Perfect right in that groove. This track is so new, you can't see the blue groove, or you can't see where the hard line is.
I mean, even Louise coming to Crankworx, she is a newbie to Crankworx races as well, and I feel like race after race, she's really coming into her own and finding comfort in the courses and on the tracks and in the different disciplines. That it's cool to see her at the final round, really like showing her true potential, and even, you know, giving Caroline a run for her money, quite literally.
Yeah, at this point in the game, run for their money is not just a figure of speech anymore, you know? Well, it's so fun to be at this final stop. We got #1 qualifier Ryan Gilchrist there, left side of your screen, going up against Austin Warren.
Oh, a little interesting technique there at Austin Warren, kind of zigzagging around those rollers. Maybe trying to get a little bit bigger momentum, and there it all comes out at the end. .004, almost nothing in it between these two riders. Did you see Bubba doing that on those first couple rollers? He was like kind of going a little bit of an angle, which would make the track longer, but maybe he's figured out a way to make that work as an advantage, and he's actually able to pump harder.
Take a look, we're gonna see it. I noticed that a couple runs ago as well. Right around, he goes back, left to right.
Yeah, getting the most that he absolutely can out of the start. He was up on the start. He did get the whole shot out of the start.
It's like this slither pump.
Yeah, he's getting a little more juice out of it. He's making that roller a little longer, I think, and maybe able to get a little bit more momentum out of it.
Well, he snapped Gilchrist out of the gate as well, not by much, but he's also running 2 brakes.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen 2 brakes on Bubba's bike. I think they're keyed in on it.
Yep. It's a thing. We've been doing this for how many years, and now it's becoming a thing. Look how tight that finish was. Ooh, it's going to be real fun. Let's see them go up there, switch sides.
I mean, one thing that the riders will be doing now on a track like this is watching every heat and watching just how the course is running in, how it's rolling, how it's deteriorating, and how people are doing their starts. And we're seeing them getting closer and closer. And I think as you go further in the rounds, you really do need to watch each and every run.
So we got Clean Go Fishing on the YouTube chat saying they ride chainless. Yeah, we forget that not everybody has seen this before. That's what's so interesting about this. These riders trying to milk speed out of anywhere they can without a chain. Colin Hudson and Tehoto on course.
Tehoto rocketing out of the gate. Looking unbelievably smooth around that last turn, keeping his momentum going. Whoa. He's not giving anybody an inch.
We got a lot of Tehoto fans on the chat right now, and he is delivering. Just riding so smooth and flawless.
That was it right there. It looks like Tehoto, fastest time of the day.
Well, he's getting faster as the day goes, but Gilchrist also has now cracked into the sub 11 second range. But Tehoto all the way down to 10.8. He's getting faster as the day goes.
This is textbook pump track racing right here. Building throughout the day. Your fastest run needs to be that last run. Let's watch Tehoto down this final straight, how creative he is, getting momentum off that backside with his front tire and gnawing over that last obstacle. We got people watching live. Zara Greenfield, live from New Zealand, keeping an eye on Tehoto, seeing if he can bring home this win.
Eddie calling out if Tehoto wins, he's going to buy a Harley Davidson. That's the rumor on the street. All right, in pump track, if there's a tie, the competitor with the faster time from their second run will be ranked higher. Something good to know out here, as we have tight matchups like this one between Keelani Hines and Jordy Scott. 0.3 to play for.
Yeah, Jordy Scott a little bit on her heels right now, but on that faster track, let's see if she can use this last turn to her advantage. Keelani ran a little wide. Both riders are side by side. Oh. Keelani able to edge her out and keep that advantage. Super close racing.
Comes in.
There we go. Keelani moving in to the money round there, the gold medal matchup. Yeah, we got Jabrock saying that last inside left is just rapid. That's our most exciting berm of the whole World Tour so far this year. Everybody out there on YouTube's loving it.
You just can't call. You just can't call how it's going to happen because you see the start. You see the start and you're like, okay, she got a good start. And then as soon as they hit that berm, that makes such a big difference to that last straight, which Elliot said was slightly uphill. So you're still in it, even if you mess up a tiny little bit out of the start gate.
So Jordy Scott will still have the opportunity to win a bronze out there. The day is not over for Jordy. Great to have her back. Still in the running for a medal out here today. We got run number 2 here between Louise Ferguson and Caroline Buchanan. Caroline with the advantage of 0.13. Louise definitely making her earn it.
Yeah, 0.13 on that rider's
Great
left is
start
definitely possible. Let's see what they can do coming down. Oh, Louise gets a little out of rhythm there coming into the first turn, unfortunately.
Is Ferguson going to be able to stay in touch?
I'm holding my breath every time they come out of that last turn.
Caroline into the gold medal matchup.
That's something so about Caroline is you can pretty much guarantee that she will have on-point runs every time. And the people going up against her just feel that pressure. They know that she doesn't make mistakes. She follows her line, she stays on her track, she pumps where she needs to.
And keep an eye on Luis right here. She goes a little wide, and it looks like right there you saw her kind of get a little off rhythm, pushed into that jump instead, and that's what we call anti-pump. It's the opposite of what you want.
I wonder if the sun in that corner, you can see the sun and the shade kind of really cross over, is playing a little bit into that, because it was a little bit of an odd. Yeah,
she's talking about it.
Yeah,
that's a good point, Tracy, is that berm is facing right into the sun, and you see riders get their timing off. That's got to have something to do with it.
Well, Caroline has those tinted lenses, and Louise had the clear ones.
So gold medal matchup's going to be contested between Keelani Hines and Caroline Buchanan. That's fun. I mean, Keelani was the last rider to beat Caroline in pump track before she went on her so far 6 pump track win streak. And then who's going to take the bronze? Either Jordy Scott on her return or Louise Ferguson. And we are still not sure who's going to occupy those 2 spots in the gold medal matchup right now.
Look at the time between Ryan Gilchrist and Bubba. 0.004, that's nothing.
4,000ths of a second between those two. Bubba, is he going to take that 4th place qualifying spot, knockout #1, send him to the bronze medal round, or is Gilchrist going to back up that qualifying result? If Tohoto wins, he's going to be the next Prime Minister of NZ. There we go, Dylan Powelson with the prediction. I don't get a vote in that. I'd vote for him, but I don't get a vote in that race. Here we go, 4,000ths of a second. This is going to be a drag race between Austin Warren, who has the advantage, going up against the #1 qualifier, Ryan Gilchrist.
You know Warren's going to want to have the upset right here. He's doing that little slither pump, maybe a half a wheel length ahead. When he's on that other side, he's going to have to put all the power down. Look at Gilchrist. He pushes too hard.
Oh, Bubba's going to do it. Look at that.
Gilchrist pushed a little too hard in that last turn where we saw him far superior than all the other riders. It was just too much. That's that build we talk about. He might have built a little too much. The pressure of that might have got to him. Let's see if we can see where he enters this turn and where he exits. Looks good on the entrance. Oh, he just slid a little bit there.
Try to skip a few bumps there.
The fact that he crossed the line so close despite missing the last couple
He
rollers.
missed the whole bump though.
You know,
he was uphill.
You know, looking at that again from that angle, I don't think his tires slid at all. I think what happened is the G-forces had him locked in that position, and he actually could not straighten up. He was so pushed in because of the G-forces of the bike, he actually couldn't get it back up straight in time to get around that next obstacle.
That's commitment to the turn, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But I mean, you got to think about the exit, but that was full commitment.
He was on that
And
carnival ride that sticks you to the walls.
It was clearly fast, because as you said, they were very close when they came to the finish line. So.
Oh, I mean, yeah, if he was able to stay on course, who knows? That was a, both of those runs, some of the tightest racing we've seen all season.
A little bit of a sour pace there out of Gilchrist. You know he knew what happened right there.
All right, Elliot's at the bottom of the course with Austin Warren. Take it, Elliot.
Bubba, you have been nailing that left-hander on the inside. What is the key to that?
Honestly, riding 16 inches my whole life, it's fucking, sorry. It's perfect to like learn how to corner small stuff like this. And honestly, BMX, didn't grow up doing that, more moto, but definitely just honestly gripping to hopefully make through the corner, just like Ryan just did. You almost could just make an easy mistake like that.
And we saw you doing this little snake through the first couple of rollers. What's that about?
You know, a lot of people are telling me I might be losing speed doing that, but it's for some reason I think I can get my rear end down faster, but honestly I think it's helping me. I don't know, but I'm pretty stoked to move on to the final here.
Well, great luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, it's definitely gaining him speed, and there's a lot of logic to it. And he doesn't want to talk too much about it.
He's trying to tuck that back end in as close as possible. Like, you keep up with me.
He's basically trying to shorten the length of his bike. He goes, how can I get like an inch shorter chainstay here?
Yeah, it's interesting him talking about people saying it might be slower. I wonder how many of those people he still has to compete against.
How many of those people are in the gold medal matchup, Austin? Yeah, it's obviously working. So there's a look at our King of Crankworx standings as they sit right now, where Tohota's at the top. And, you know, Bass is going, oh man, this is hemorrhaging right here. As Tehoto is loaded up in the gate against Colin Hudson, Tehoto has a 1/4 second advantage. It's looking good for him to meet Austin in the finals, but he needs a smooth run here.
Great start for Tehoto.
Yeah, Tehoto keyed in, needing to do everything to stay in front of Colin Hudson. No worries right there. One of the few heats that we've seen the rider win on that rider's right.
That was a very impressive run by Tehoto.
Here we go. Tehoto securing himself at least a second place silver medal and second place points out here. I believe it's 80 points for second place. Those are going to shoot him up that King of Crankworx leaderboard, but he still has the opportunity to get that full 100 out of the win. It's going to be Tehoto and Bubba in the gold medal matchup. Definitely looking forward to that.
The most intense 11 seconds in the Whistler Valley, I guarantee that.
Yeah, Leonard, thanks for loving mountain biking. We're right there with you, buddy.
I mean, so calm, so relaxed through the berms. It doesn't even look like he could make a mistake on that track.
You got any words for Bess? Sure, boo.
Yeah, looking at those fastest times, we saw Tehoto with the first, the third, and the fifth fastest times of the day. The only other person on that board was Ryan Gilchrist, who was just eliminated by Bubba Warren. So, coming into these medal matchups, we got some excitement.
That's what it's going to be. Colin Hudson, the 2018 winner of this event, going up against the man who qualified first here today, Ryan Gilchrist. And then the gold medal matchup. Penny doing it for fun, but doing it for those King of Crankworx points. Looking to take that second in qualifying all the way to the gold medal. But he's going to have to get past the slither pump of Austin Warren. I'm having a great time out here, you two, and this is just the start of so many consecutive great days out here in sunny Whistler, BC. Don't forget, slopestyle fans, there's a big day coming up on Saturday. We've got your local times right down there at the bottom of the screen. We got guys like Lucas Hooper, Eric Fedko, Emil Johansson, and David Godziak. And wow, the battle between Godziak and Johansson in Innsbruck. If you're a slopestyle fan, I know you're not going to miss the opportunity to join us on Saturday. But today, it's all about pump track, and we're down to the nitty-gritty of this ultimate pump track challenge here to finish off the 2023 season. About ready to drop into run number 1 of our bronze medal matchup between Jordy Scott on her return, going up against Louise Ferguson.
Yeah, you know Jordy would like to take home a medal after this comeback, but Louise has been building all day long, and she's looking super strong out here. Both riders get out of the gate nearly side by side. This is where Louise really needs to put the power down out of this turn. A little bit high, but she's able to pull out a little bit of a lead.
What's it gonna be? Jordy by just 0.08 of a second. Jordy Scott would love to sweeten this return with a bronze medal. Jordy, I mean, we've been talking about the starts from Louise. Jordy got the whole shot here.
Yeah, and look at Louise, the way she did start, but Jordy is just so smooth out of that start gate. And it did look for a second when they come into that first turn that Jordy had it, and then Louise just shot out of that left-hander so fast. So it is an intense pump track to call, isn't it, for how short it is.
That's what 0.08 of a second looks like right there. Carlitos L rooting for Louise. Well, maybe that'll be exactly what she needs to make up that 0.08. A little cheering from the fans out there.
Gilchrist getting refocused after that mistake that got him eliminated. Just a young fella, isn't he? Look at those results he's already got to his name.
I mean, he's definitely got the Crankworx bug. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's also a guy who is quite busy, an engineering student, a videographer, an editor. I'm sure you spend plenty of time with this man here, Tracy, by proximity of your brother, his teammate.
Getting to know him more and more. He races Enduro World Cup E. So he's a e-bike racer alongside Michael.
Now he's probably going to be a Crankworx guy too.
Crosses over with all these events, and man, he's just multi-skilled.
Deep bag of skills for Ryan Gilchrist, including the whole shot right here.
Well.
Yeah. Colin Hudson looking amazing out of that last turn, but just not enough for the power of Gilchrist coming down that last straight. You know, it doesn't look uphill, but as Elliot was saying, but to see them accelerate up the hill off the rollers with no chain, that is so much intensity and so much power coming out of their legs, their core, the entire body making that momentum happen.
Yeah, they're working hard to get up that hill. You can't tell from the screen that it's uphill, but how hard they're working to get up there and how much their arms and legs are moving. You can see that it must be a bit of a workout.
Watch this again. Boom. Ryan was so flawless from the gate all the way to that point, and I mean, Colin did a great job shortening that gap right there. All happened in that left berm.
There's not too many things in this world you can do for 11 seconds and be out of breath. Maybe like a running sprint, but that's about it.
There's a joke there somewhere for sure. Moving on, who do we have loading up in the gate next? It's going to be run number 1 of the gold medal matchup. I think this means we're going to get some dramatic music. I'm hoping. There's a lot on the line right here. So here we go, gold medal matchup for the women. Keilani Hines going up against Caroline Buchanan. Can she make it 7 wins in a row? Can she make it a perfect season? Oh, there's the
lucky
music.
number 7.
We're doing it. She's going up against the last person to beat her. This couldn't be any better.
Yeah, this matchup is exactly what we wanted to see. Let's see who can get this whole shot.
Oh, that snap from Keilani.
Yeah, Keilani with a slight advantage there. Caroline knows what she's doing. And there it is, out of that last turn. Set her up nicely. Caroline just focusing where she needed to, not getting bothered by being a little bit behind on that first straight. She knew she had the opportunity coming out of that last turn, so stayed focused, hit her marks absolutely perfect, and rocketed out of that last turn.
Yeah, she really chose how hard to hit that left turn, and she knew she needed to get the most out of it that she could to keep up with Kalani, and she used everything, didn't she?
Caroline here with the opportunity to make up for that loss. It was Innsbruck 2022 where Keilani took the gold. You knew they were going to meet up in a gold medal matchup again at some point. It's taken this long for it to happen. I believe it was just 0.2 after this first run here in favor of Caroline. You see her crossing the line first there.
Yeah, just under a bike length, so, you know, definitely not over for Keilani.
Yeah, she's going to want to taste that gold medal again. That's what she'll be thinking about. We're thinking about Caroline's 7th, but she's thinking about, need that gold medal back.
Look at the nerves on Tehodo. He knows what's at risk. He is fired up right now. Let me out of the gate. Look at his legs twitching.
I mean, 20 extra points on the line. The gold medal matchup for the men. Austin Bubba Warren on the left side of your screen going up against Tehodo Ariki Penny, the leader and the king of Crankworx overall right now. Just shooting up that leaderboard by virtue of his 2 downhill results from earlier this week. This is going to be good. Look at the focus there from Bubba.
Yeah, so much intensity, like a couple of racehorses about to snap out of the gate, and Tehodo with an unbelievable start, but Bubba is not going to let him have it for nothing. Here they come around these final turns. Tehodo gets a little bit offside, but he's got it handled right there.
Tehodo leading that run 1 matchup by 0.13 over Austin Warren. Wow, he attacked that left-hand berm.
Yeah, you see him there with his hand. He was talking about a little bit of a chatter. Let's watch Tehodo come around this turn.
Jeez.
A little bit of a push, but he was able to hold on, unlike Gilchrist in that last matchup.
He kept it right in the middle of that final straightaway, and that was the key. Watch how much he attacks it. He almost broke tire traction in the next roller as well, hinting that he was kind of trending left.
It was almost like a little unintentional scrub over that first roller. He was able to get the bike straightened back out and stay on track, but let's see, watch right here. Yeah, he slides a little bit out of there, but he was able to stay lower and might have even been, he made it work for him is what he did.
Yeah, those long legs really got that bike back where it needed to be, didn't they?
So Tohoto, the slight advantage in this gold medal matchup. It's time to give away some hardware here. It's time to give away some valuable points. It all comes down to this for our bronze medal matchup for the women's field in the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. Louise Ferguson, left side of your screen. Jordy Scott on the right. Louise would love to take home another medal. She took one just a few days ago from the 11.99 downhill. Jordy Scott would love to sweeten this return by earning a medal. Here we go, Jordy's ahead by just 0.08. They're off.
A little bit of a wobble in the gate for Louise, which wouldn't help them pop out of the gate.
Yeah, Louise is looking really strong here. Can she keep Jordy on her toes? But Jordy able to make it happen, and she's going to walk away from her comeback with a bronze medal.
Jordy Scott does it. What a way to come back from a crazy shoulder injury back in Rotorua 2022. She's now your bronze medalist here. Pump Track in Whistler.
Yeah, I saw that too, Trace. I don't know if it was wind or whatever, but it looked like Luis was starting to tip over there. Was able to recover just in time and had a really amazing first straight.
Yeah, it's maybe just the nerves of being in the gate got to her, but
how about the start from Quint there, trying to get multiple shots in one heat?
Well, you know, he's on a timer as well, I guess.
I think I got 11 seconds to get how many photos? Elliott's with Jordy.
Jordy Scott coming back from injury into a bronze medal here at Crankworx. That's got to feel good.
So happy. I literally couldn't have imagined this. I had high hopes coming in, but really just never have been in this position where I have no idea what to expect. So this is beyond expectations and so happy.
What was the hardest part about coming back from injury? And this track seemed deceptively technical.
Yeah, first lap of practice, I had a bit of a hugie in this back corner that I just went through. So that was a bit difficult, but yeah, just was a nice peace of mind actually, because landed right on my shoulder and was all good. So yeah, it was a bit tricky, and I liked it though. I like these tracks better than the circle tracks, so.
I mean, the crowd sounded insane. Anything you want to say to them?
Thank you guys for being so awesome. That's about it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, that's, you know, the best thing to hear is that she took a crash right to that same shoulder and it held up. That's always such a big milestone to reach after a long recovery. This one was 7 months for her, so great to see Jordy Scott grab that bronze medal. Big question now is who's going to grab the bronze medal for the men. We still have 2 gold medals left to deliver.
Yeah, there's nothing like falling on an old injury and just
Jordy
knowing
Scott.
that you can get through, that you don't have to worry about it anymore. It really is the first time you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's kind of when the switch flips, you stop looking back after that happens.
Yep. All forward progress now for Jordy Scott as she snags that bronze medal. And more to come here. Right now, the bronze medal matchup for the men. Colin Hudson, the winner from 2018. Ryan Gilchrist, the #1 qualifier here. And the owner of the silver medal from earlier this season in Cairns. I feel like we've picked him up as another Crankworx rider here. Obviously, he's busy with the E Enduro, but I have a feeling he's got the bug. Let's see if he can get a medal. Gilchrist up by 0.06 over Colin Hudson.
Last time Gilchrist went through that big left turn, he got out of control and off track. Let's see what he can do here. Is he going to land? Is he going to send it?
Hudson down.
You could see that before that happened. His foot moved forward. His left foot fully moved. I wonder if he came unclipped. Is he wearing clips? Oh yeah, he's wearing clips. Yeah, when we see the replay, you're going to see exactly what that left foot does right before he goes into that turn.
Good to see Colin up on his own power. big slam right there. Anytime you go from that speed to 0, you're going to feel it the next morning.
Look at the crowd we have out here today. That feels good to see. This is definitely feeling like classic Crankworx vibes, being back in the boneyard, having this big of a crowd. So let's take a look back via slow-mo replay.
So he jumped in there. I saw a little bit of a wiggle, and there is a roller that we can't see out of screen there.
The close-up onto that roller shows you when he kind of gets a bit unstuck.
Oh, yeah. I think his front wheel might have just pushed a little bit on the beginning apex of that turn. This will show it for sure. Yeah. He went to pump over that roller, and he pushed off of the ground to get his front tire up and over, and it slid, and he basically had nothing. It's like when you jump off a diving board late and you don't actually go anywhere. It's kind of what just happened right there.
Good way to look at it. And we can all kind of relate to that too.
When you jump off a diving board late. Why do I love that so much? That's hilarious. So Elliot is standing by with the bronze medalist here, Ryan Gilchrist.
Ryan, this seems like it might be a little bit of a bittersweet day. First place qualifier, you're riding amazing all day. How does it feel to you?
Oh, look, I mean, you hate to do it that way, but I mean, we're still third on the podium. Top-notch competition here. We've got some incredible races everywhere. Every single race that was on the broadcast was a final. We had Bass, we had Bubble, we had Colin then. So it felt like giant slaying from the outset. But yeah, look, we get to spray some champagne around and maybe get a novelty check. So a pleasure as always at Crankworx.
I mean, it feels like you must be loving Crankworx. Last time you were here, a silver medal. I mean, how is it for you?
I mean, this feels like it's gelling pretty well. We've got a team that's supporting me really well. Yeti's being put together some incredible bikes, and being able to rep them on the world stage is really something special, and having a proper team behind myself is really making things incredible.
And what are you looking forward to the next, this week?
Dual slalom, baby. Let's go. We might be having a crack at the Enduro afterwards, but Enduro can wait for dual slalom.
Well, congrats, and we'll be watching you.
Pleasure as always, Elliot. Thank you.
A bronze that he just won. I know he's got a silver from Kansas, but I think he just won the gold in interviews right there.
Yeah, did he say dual slalom?
Slalom, because he's planning to slay it. Yeah, what's not to love about Ryan Gilchrist? Congrats to him grabbing that bronze medal. Like he said there in that interview, not the way you want to do it. We're just watching Colin Hudson go down there in that final run. But you'll take it any way you can get it.
He was a good sport going back and walking Colin back up to the finish line.
It's actually what one of our commenters said is they're noticing, like, this is cool. There's full-on competition, but they all seem to be getting along really well after the races, and that's true. That's kind of what Crankworx is all about out here, so thanks for joining us. And if you are joining us, don't leave, because we got a gold medal round right now for the women. Caroline Buchanan going up against Keilani Hines. Keilani Hines, the last rider to beat Caroline. You have to take it back 7 rounds to be able to even remember that. As Caroline proceeded to dominate. She's undefeated so far this season. Right now she's got .22 ahead of Keilani. Let's see if she can make it 7 in a row here.
So right now Keilani needs to focus on that last turn. That's her only opportunity to make up that .229 deficit. Awesome start out of both riders coming down the straight. Here we go. Caroline looking smooth. Let's see if Keilani can make this last turn work for her. Comes in high, rockets out of the turn. Is it gonna be enough?
What's it gonna be? Holy, let's wait for the official. Wow!
And she does it.
Wow.
Keilani Hines does it again. Beats Caroline Buchanan, grabs the gold. Oh, wow, what a story.
What an amazing slingshot through that left-hander. You called it, Alan. You said that's where she needed to do it, and she absolutely nailed it.
Yeah,
so
let it out
aggressive.
there, Keilani. That was amazing, amazing job. She entered that turn a little bit higher than we'd seen in the previous runs, and it's like going downhill and pumping at the same time, and she got every ounce of momentum out of that turn that was available.
Well, the energy here is high. Let's throw it down to Elliot Jackson.
Keilani Hines, how does that feel?
Oh my gosh, it feels so good. I qualified 5th, and that's an uncomfortable feeling. All the girls are so fast, and like it's all within the same second. The track was harder than I thought it was going to be, and so I struggled all day, but I've done it before, so I knew I could do it again, and I just gave it my all.
And it was, you know, super technical track. What was the most difficult part?
I think that the rollers are kind of hard to get the backside and get speed. It was like, they look really easy and little, but that actually makes it a lot harder to like gain speed. But we had some banked corners, so I just kind of put all my hope into the corners and just hope that I won.
Well, man, congratulations on the gold medal here. Great job.
Thank you.
What a ride for Keelani Hines in the clutch. Alan, you noticed something about the fastest times of the day after that run.
Yeah, I actually heard the live announcer say that was the fastest time of the women. Right there is where she did it. Unbelievable final turn.
Oh, wow.
That's the thing about pump track. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, we looked at the start list this morning and we said, could Keelani do it again and knock Caroline out of this win streak? And it happened. Caroline's still smiling. She's got plenty to do the rest of this week. And obviously snagging those silver medal points are going to be valuable as well for Caroline. Caroline's got quite the lead there in the queen, so she's not going to be hurting. But you know she just wants all those wins. But Keelani Hines gets to soak this one up. Okay, gold medal matchup time for the men. Tohoto Ariki Penne currently leading the King of Crankworx overall, going up against Austin Warren, a guy who's been fast out of the gate, fast on that first straight in a race where pretty much everybody's just making it up. In the last straight, he's got it all. So does he have what it takes to grab this gold medal right now? Tohoto has the advantage. This is going to be a quick 10-second resolution to this ultimate pump track challenge here for the men. 0.13 separating them. The advantage belonging to Tohoto. Here we go.
Austin Warren, a little bit of a slow start, but one of the most powerful riders out here. And Tohoto, everything to gain. Let's see what he can do. He's got a commanding lead, but there comes Austin.
Bubba off track. Wow.
A little bit off track there, getting stuck in that turn. The G-force is just holding him in a little bit longer. And look at the fastest starts over there.
Oh my. Tohoto with the 5 fastest starts of the day. Tohoto locking up the gold medal and 100 points to add to his king tally. What a race. Let's throw it right down to Elliot Jackson.
Tohoto, how does it feel to win a gold medal in pump track?
It's cool. Yeah, no, it's cool.
And I noticed that you had every single fastest start of the day. Did it feel like that?
Yeah, I felt like I was getting out pretty good. Yeah, I don't know, I was on with the directions and felt good.
And so you've been on the podium a couple times this week. How are you going to approach slalom tomorrow?
I don't know, just the same as every other race day. Have a big, probably bacon and eggs for breakfast. Yeah.
And so you're almost 100 points in the lead for King of Crankworx. Does that start to seep into your mind?
Yeah, but it's still not over. Like, we can, race isn't over yet. But it's cool.
Well, great job, Tohoto.
Cheer.
And we're also going to catch up with Austin Warren over here. Austin, it seemed like you had the track just dialed in around those insides. We saw you doing things that almost nobody else was doing. Is that what it felt like?
Yeah, just keeping it smooth and honestly just being one with the track pretty much. And honestly, everyone always tells me, why aren't you trying? And I'm like, I'm putting everything into it. And everyone's just like, you're just so smooth. And I'm like, well, I appreciate that, but I'm just like, I'm trying as hard as I can. But honestly, just like with Gilchrist here, he pushed in that corner a little hard and he pushes you low and went off the track a little bit. And you know, it's awesome to be on the finals here and against Tohoto. It's awesome. He's been killing it this year. So first Crankworx for me this year, and I get a podium spot, so I can't complain.
I mean, I know that you and Kyle Straight ride a bunch, train a bunch on slalom and pump track like that. Does this seem like a California-style track, a little bit tighter?
Nothing here is resembled to like what we ride, but definitely, honestly, it's my roots is riding 16 inches on a tiny little track and hitting little rut tracks, and you kind of have to bust out some old skills. And honestly, it came out qualifying 4th and then pushing into the final here, and can't complain. It really just makes me freaking happy.
Well, great job.
Thank you.
Well, Austin Warren made Tohoto Ricky Penny really work for this one, and Tohoto Ricky Penny grabbing the gold. But let's crunch some more stats on this. What an impressive week already. This is 3 podiums this week for Tohoto. This is 2 pump track wins this season for Tohoto, and I love the fact that he's not reserving any more space in his mind for pressure than he is for bacon and eggs in the morning. This routine is working for this guy.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, those two are such chill guys and such amazing riders, and to see them take, you know, gold and silver is pretty awesome night of pump track.
Man, Jordy Scott with the bronze for the women. Got Caroline with the silver and Kealani with the gold for the women. And I mean, this is what we hope for when we show up in Whistler. The last couple seasons we show up in Whistler and it's in the middle of the season. And this feels right. We're right here at the birthplace of Crankworx, crunching numbers and figuring out who's gonna win overalls. And we've got all these developing stories. What are some of the highlights for you so far this week, Tracy?
I mean, starting off with the new 1199 downhill track, and then coming in today, A-line yesterday, excuse me, ADH yesterday was like catastrophic conditions, and to see those riders ride down that track in that rain, in that mud is awesome. And then, I mean, today just topped it off to see. It's always cool to see, like, you know, the rider that you just want to go for as a rider like Tohoto, and it's so cool to see him take the gold medal. And then, you know, Kalani knocking out Caroline. She almost got her 7th win, and she worked hard for it, but it's pretty cool to see a bit of a mix-up in the gold medal there.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk Queen overall a little bit. We obviously still have plenty of racing coming up this week. Caroline has a big gap, but, you know, we're looking at Martha Gill, Louise Ferguson. I don't know. I think Caroline's running away with it. She's going to be competing in slalom, going to be competing in speed and style. Alan, do you think anybody has what it takes to climb that huge couple hundreds of a point gap that Caroline has ahead of the rest of the field?
Man, I think it's a steep climb, but I don't like the taste of shoes, so I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth and say that it's impossible, because we've seen everything happen here on the Crankworx World Tour. But as you say, Caroline's doing exactly what she needs. I think that's probably her most satisfying 2nd place of her whole career, because she's really solidifying herself for that queen.
All right, well, when we transition into talking about the king of Crankworx, it's a little bit different story. Tohoto in the top. That was new this morning when we woke up and saw the results after points have been tallied from the Air DH. Bass, a lot of pressure on him, but I'd say he's well within grasp. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, he's absolutely well within grasp, especially with slalom and speed and style still coming. I'm not going to say he's got the advantage over anybody, but he's got the experience. He's won those events. He's been on the podium of those events. He knows what to do.
Hey, check it out. So we're sitting here busy talking. We have other people using calculators. We can announce right now that Caroline Buchanan, with the points she's racked up until this point, has wrapped up the 2023 Queen of Crankworx crown. So big congratulations there to Caroline Buchanan.
That's why she took that silver medal so well. Maybe she'd worked it out in her own head.
And I didn't even have to eat a shoe. It's great.
But I don't know if anyone else noticed, curiously, Bass and Jackson are closer in points now than Tohoto and Bass are. So I wonder if Jackson in 3rd can make, you know, a bit of a comeback and step up into 2nd almost. There's still
100%. We talked so much about the crown.
Left. Yeah, and I was also looking in the women's. We have Martha and Louise. They're even closer in points than they were at the start of the day. Louise started in 4th. Now she's up in 3rd. So that kind of thing is curious to me because we still have the second and third that are still fighting for that, that podium shot in the overall.
Yeah, also 5,000 for third in the king and queen, 10,000 for second in the king and queen. Obviously, the crown is worth 20,000, but still plenty to play for out here, even though Caroline has wrapped up the queen's crown again. But what a great day of racing out here. Big congratulations goes out to Keilani Hines and to Hodo Ariki-Penny for grabbing the golds here in the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. I want to thank you all for joining us. I've been your host, Cam McCall, alongside Tracy Hanna and Alan Cook. I want to invite you to join us tomorrow for more head-to-head racing action in the dual slalom. We will see you tomorrow.
With some cash in the air, we don't care, no. We got the